Welcome back to Pixel Project Radio. This is part 2 of our Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions analysis. I'm joined again by Nomad from the Retro Wildlands and Chris, a novel console and consoles and more. Got even more consoles, more novels. Who knows? Nomad, Chris, Nomad. Welcome back, fellas.
Hearken, friends, 'tis I, Nomad, wanderer of worlds, pixeled and polygoned. I am a seeker of truth amidst the fog of war and navigator of bad camera angles. How are we doing today, guys? I prepped that. Did it sound nice?
Yeah, it's very flourishing. We know which version of this game you're playing.
Indeed.
Chris, how are you doing? Consoles and Stuff. I erroneously mispronounced your store. My apologies. Consoles and Stuff. How you doing, man?
We're doing pretty good. It's Monday, and it didn't feel like a Monday. But then Nomad goes and does, his whole Shakespearean spiel, and now I don't feel good enough.
No. There's plenty of people that are absolutely rolling their eyes at their car speakers right now.
Rolled their eyes so hard that
obligated.
They drove off the road.
You want to one-up him a little bit and recite some King Lear? Or maybe some Richard III?
Dude, all I can do is probably Donkey Kong, and it's, oh, banana, and that's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, that's my favorite Shakespeare, too. We've got one community forum correspondence that came in after we recorded the first episode. Just in case you missed it the first time, the community forum, it's a channel in the Discord server where you can come share your thoughts on what we're talking about, and I'll read them on air. This one comes from Genova's Child, who says the following, who has, by the way, a picture of Todd Howard with his hair upside down. It's terrific. Inverse Todd Howard. Here's what Genova's Child has to say. When I was a child, a Genova's child, with spare time seeming to be an infinite resource, Chris, I think you mentioned that on the last episode, I had thrown myself at restarting the game 3 times to try and overlevel and prepare for the infamous softlock battle. That's at the end of Chapter 3, I believe. I remember loving the game, but ultimately bouncing off of it due to the difficulty spikes. I returned for the War of the Lions version, and the unbelievably lavish and fresh lick of paint they gave the game solidified Final Fantasy Tactics as one of my all-time favorite games. I don't want to play my hand too soon, but I'm feeling similarly. This I can see why so many people in that meme, with the kids at the chalkboard, it's 4+3. Kid can't figure it out. He looks back, and the one kid is like, the best Final Fantasy, and the kid at the board writes Tactics. I totally get it. I can see why. This game is terrific.
How does it feel compared to 9?
I mean, 9 is always going to be my favorite game of all time. It just holds too much importance to me. It can't overthrow it. But I will say, I think this is probably, it's trending to be in my top 3, which, controversial opinion, it would join 9 and 10 too as being in my top 3. But wow. Yeah, it's super good. I'm really thrilled that you guys suggested this.
Yeah, I will say for myself, I actually look at Tactics as its own thing. And I don't mean to say that as I don't think it's a Final Fantasy title per se, but Tactics is so good and so unique for myself that I just put it on its own pedestal, and deservedly so. Like, it's just that different, but still sort of the same. Like, I can't compare it or even contrast it with the others. Like, it's right over there. It's on its own hill, and it belongs there.
I agree with that sentiment, but I will go a little bit further and say that not even the other 2 Tactics sequels even get near to it. I don't think Tactics Advance 1 and 2 are anywhere in the same realm of being as good as Final Fantasy Tactics is.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Let's dive into why. Let's pick up where we left off at the Sand Rats Seitch. This is a dual party setup, but I'm not really sure why. It's not the kind of map for that. It's a pretty small map. I love this music. I didn't write down anything more, but you can hear the music playing. It's great, right? Your parties are flanking the enemies. It's a small map. You're fighting knights and monks here. I think it's the first appearance of monks as an enemy, but my Ramza was a monk here too, so I'm doing buku damage. I got a little bit better. I don't know if this is something that you two think about. I got a little bit better as the notes go on about writing like who was in my party class-wise, which, by the way, I mentioned this off in the green room. Green room is pre-recording for all of you folks that want to get some inside knowledge on podcasting. I mentioned in the green room I made the tough decision to let 2 of my party members go. I had too many, so now I'm down to 4 generics. You know, you can only ever roll 5 at most at a time. So I had to let 2 go. Let go of Selfina and Mael. Mael is the only character I named because I forgot you could do that. So I told him to hit the bricks.
That's a hard thing to do, because right before you do that, sometimes they'll plead with you, sometimes they're understanding about your decision, but hard choices have to be made.
I don't know if it's like this in the PS1 version, Chris, but I love that when you let them go in the PSP version, you know, like Nomad said, they'll plead a little bit, and when you click yes, there's just a gunshot, like Looney Tunes gunshot sound, and they're just gone. It's great.
You know, I did this the other day. The Chocobos do too. They plead with you, so you won't let them go.
I'll get them out of here. I don't want those filthy birds in my party.
Oh, dang.
Like, I know that you got rid of those extra party members, but sometimes it's good to have a couple and level them up a little bit so you can send them on quests that you find in the taverns.
Yeah, you know, and hey, that's a terrific segue. We didn't talk about the taverns last time. The taverns are a great source of errands, like you just said, and rumors. Rumors are going to build the lore of the game up. Some of them get pretty lengthy. I debated about reading all of them on here, but I decided not to. There are other comprehensive podcasts, i.e. Retrograde Amnesia, that do that sort of thing. So if you want to get the whole spiel, go check them out. They do a really great job of building up the lore, giving you an idea of how the citizens are being fed information, particularly about something at the end of Chapter 2, for example. They're great. I really like them. That's a really nice touch. I've said it before, I'll say it again. World building is my number one most favorite thing about JRPGs.
Some of the rumors also open new areas for you to go to.
Really?
I've only had it happen once, but I also haven't been checking every single rumor in every single bar in every single town that I've gone into. But it did happen where one area opened up, and I went into it and nothing happened. So I don't know if it's broken on the PlayStation 1 version or what. But yeah, some new areas open whenever you check some rumors.
Oh, cool. I'll have to keep an ear out. That's great. So we take care of those folks. Not too bad of a battle. We get a new scene of Wiegraf and Gustav facing off in some room. They do some verbal sparring. You've taken leave of your senses, Gustav. You've taken leave of your senses, Gustav. Have I? What hopes does your fool revolution hold? Dreams do not fill a man's stomach or make soft the packed earth on which he beds. You see not beyond the end of your own nose. The crown strays, Gustav. It must be led back onto the path. This is something I have it written later in the notes, but I figure we could just bring it up now. I have heard criticisms that this game is a little heavy-handed and too insistent on how often it brings up class struggle. I'm wondering if you guys agree. Do you think it's too heavy-handed? Do you think it's just focused on the themes? Do you think it's too insistent? Or do you think it's just very forward with what it's trying to say? What are your feelings on that?
I don't think so. I think because of the story it's telling and what happened before the story even starts, I think it's justified. You know, you go to war, and some of these people, I'm guessing like Gustav, they had to fight in a 50 years war that was probably raging since before they were born. So all they know is poverty, hunger, war, death. So it would make sense for you to have the war end thinking your life is going to be better, and it just gets worse because now there's no job for you. There's no work for you to do to survive. So it would make sense for somebody to be completely fed up and just want the world to change for everybody's benefit, even if the way that they go about making it better is forceful and just as violent as it was during the war. But I think it's justified, because of what happened before.
Yeah, I think I largely agree. To me, it's It's more accurate to say that it's focused. The game is not subtle about the fact that the nobility are corrupt and the poor are suffering, but the game doesn't really stop there, right? It digs deeper into how people respond to that world. Like, there's no one character there's not one character that's just kind of preaching for the sake of preaching. Like, you actually understand what it is that they themselves are either struggling with or fighting for. Some characters are fighting for justice, some are trying to exploit it, and some are just trying to survive by being in the middle somewhere. And to me, that's not heavy-handed writing, that's just honest storytelling. And I could honestly see people thinking it's heavy-handed because I'm no RPG expert of the era, really, but I feel like most RPGs of this era, when Tactics first came out, kind of avoided this sort of political realism, so I think that in and of itself might be the reason why people feel that way, but the focus on class warfare comes from the character conflicts that we see, not just the characters preaching, like I said, so more focused.
And I compare Gustav and Wiegraf to characters like Barrett. Barrett, like Nomad said, is just preaching for the sake of preaching. It's just completely different because the entire time he's just hammering nonstop about, the planet dying and how Shinra's evil and how it needs to be stopped no matter what. But I don't know if there's the difference between actions between Barrett and what Wiegraf is doing to make everything better for everyone. I feel like, Wiegraf is done a whole lot better than, Barrett, which is another character in the same series. So,
well, to be fair too, I don't think any of the characters in 7, at least from my memory, are all that fleshed out. I don't know why. I've heard that Remake does them way better. But I going back to the insistence of it, I think the insistence of the constant dialogues about class, one, I mean, that is literally on everybody's mind. Like, you cannot escape that in this society, as you cannot in ours, too. Which is one reason why I love this kind of story. Class struggle is, I mean, that's my life. That's all of our lives to an extent. But I think the insistence, one, is that it's a video game and folks might go a long time without seeing any dialogue. Not everybody can just sit, like Chris had said, like when we were kids in the summer, and just plow through a game. And then two, I mean, keep in mind, this is ultimately a game aimed at young people, kids, older kids. So, but Chris, to your point, you had mentioned, and I might be paraphrasing you, you had mentioned like violent means to a revolution. That's kind of how Wiegraf is here. Wiegraf believes that some reform is possible in some way, and he's not opposed to pushing the envelope to get it. Systemic change demands violence oftentimes. That's something that I think a ton about today. Perhaps that's another conversation. But, I appreciate that. I appreciate that this game is nuanced in that way. The subtlety doesn't come from the overall messaging or the explicit dialogue. It comes from character motivations and political machinations. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate this little infighting that they're setting up. Gustav and Wiegraf, they want the same thing ultimately, but they just can't decide on the road to get there. Not at all unlike modern day leftists, everybody's fighting with each other. We don't know how to get to the goal, even if we all want the same one. But anywho's, Ramza, our gang, comes in. Wiegraf gives us the ultimatum here. He says, let me go, and the Marquis, who is unconscious behind us right now, will be released. This abduction wasn't even his idea. It was, quote, ill done. He didn't agree with it. So, of course, we take that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
It's setting up Wiegraf to be an interesting villain, yeah? Like, he's not opposed to political violence, but he could have just fought us here, and he decided, no, this isn't worth my time.
Yeah, even playing this game as a kid, I found myself kind of, I don't want to say admiring Wiegraf, but like looking at his viewpoint, and while I knew what it was that he wanted wasn't exactly, maybe at the time, not the best thing for everybody, I started to kind of wonder really what his true motivations were. So yeah, he was very fascinating to me, still is.
Yeah, I didn't hate him as a kid when I played this originally. And Wiegraf to me feels like one of those characters like General Leo. In another circumstance, he would have been a friend or an ally.
Yeah, that was a great line too.
So, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about him.
I could see that. Yeah, well, he does hold a pretty deep hatred for the crown. And, I mean, we could parse that out under different birth circumstances. Anybody could be friends with anyone. But you're totally right. He's got a heart of justice. Whether that justice approaches the end goal from the same way ours does is questionable. But, we take his plea, of course. We take the Marquis back to Egros. Dycedarg is not very thrilled with us that we abandoned post, which, if you'll remember, Zalbag kind of chided us into, not chided, kind of convinced us to do. It's like, it's more fun than sitting here. He's pretty pissed. Duke Larg comes in here and tells him not to be so harsh on us. We did do a good deed after all. And Dycedarg reluctantly agrees. He says that we're going to help finish off the Corpse Brigade, since that battle is almost over, and he sends us off. And this is where something real interesting happens. Dycedarg and Larg, they're speaking together after we're gone. Dycedarg apologizes, but Duke Larg says, "It was not of your doing, Dycedarg. In truth, it serves only to show the caliber of man we were dealing with in Gustav. A change in plans was inevitable once the fool went and staged the kidnapping within our very borders. And let us not forget, they did save the Marquis's life. He will now be honor-bound to acquiesce. In the end, your brother's deeds have put us in quite the favorable position." So not only was Gustav the plant that we heard of from Zalbag, but he staged the kidnapping, all for political maneuvering. Ramza going in and saving everybody kind of put them into a greater political stance. Now the Marquis owes them a favor. Dycedarg is not the honorable man that Ramza thinks he is. There's some shady stuff going on back here.
I mean, we probably could have seen that a mile away with the way that he, takes care of his hair. Looks very evil anyway, but I digress. But but no, this surprised me as well. And I think even as a kid, I don't think I fully grasped what was happening here. But seeing that word, I don't know if they actually used the word staged, but once I realized that the whole kidnapping was a ruse in that sense, that confused me, angered me a little bit, and it made me wonder really who is actually going to be my ally in this game, because if my own brother isn't, what am I in for?
And you can kind of see those tensions earlier too. Remember in the king's dying scene when Ramza comes in, his brothers don't really respect him. I mean, likely because he's half-blood, right? His father was the king Andoria, but his mother was a commoner. It's all coming back to class. It's all coming back to nobility, caste system. That's going to be the rest of this game, honestly, until it gets into JRPG territory, which it does.
Now that you spelled it out and you said that the whole thing was a ruse, which I never really put that together, it does make sense why it always felt like Dycedarg's the older brother. Mm-hmm. Why he would keep Ramza in the dark and at arm's length of the going-ons. To me, that always seemed kind of like a strange relationship because, the other brother, I believe Zalbag is his name, he, to me, always felt like an older brother. Like I said on the other episode, like, hey, here's a beer, go drink it behind the bushes before mom and dad come. So that the oldest one being that way never felt right to me. Specifically also because of my family, they always say your brother it's your brother no matter what happens. You always have to be good with them. So to me that it always confused me why the older brother was so distant and separated from Ramza. And now that you put two and two together, like for me, now it's starting to make a whole lot more sense.
I love that you phrased it that way. Your brother is your brother. You got to get along with your brother. You got to love your brother. Why is that? Well, because they're family. They're blood.
Right.
And ultimately, that's the motivation we'll find for Dycedarg too. It's about blood, but it's not in the way that we might think. We'll get there. It's a lot of fun. For now, we're going to the Brigand's Den, and we're going to meet Milleuda. First time meeting her. She has got some killer dialogue throughout here. They're talking about they've lost contact with the Corpse Brigade. That's no good. We're going to fight them. I barely squeaked by in this one. I had dead folks. I had timers counting down. But the good thing here is in these sorts of battles, you only need to defeat the named character. So here, Milleuda. And man, I'm glad. I would have lost some guys. And I do not want to lose some guys. This was tough for me.
Yeah, my battle here was equally as tough, and thinking back, I don't really know what it is specifically that made this hard for me. I wonder if maybe I just didn't have the right job set up for the time, because I was still kind of experimenting with different things. I had an archer, I had a thief, I still had a squire, but yeah, I think in this battle there was just 3 thieves, her, who she's a knight, and a couple white mages, and I think the white mages might have screwed me over because they were doing a lot of healing.
Yeah, I think the best way to tackle this fight would be to have 1 or 2 archers to get rid of the white mages quickly, and then just get to Milleuda, that's a different name in the PlayStation one, and get rid of her.
I love Archer as a class. I'm kind of bummed they're not so great here. They stagger off pretty quickly. Pretty much as soon as I got guns, with like the machinist class or the chemist or the orator, kind of left archers behind. You know, I'll level them up to get a new class if that's a requirement, but that's about it. There's some killer dialogue here, as I said. Milleuda hates the crown. She says, "How can you nobles live as you do, yet hold your head so high? We are not chattel, we are humans like you. What flaw do you hold there to us? That we were born between a different set of walls? Do you know what it means to hunger? To sup for months on naught but broth of bean?" Broth of bean, that's excellent. "Why must we be made to starve that you might grow fat? You call us thieves, but it is you who steal from us the right to live." Evergreen conversations. These are conversations happening in America right now. Argath, the bastard, gets a bit classist. He doesn't, as we talked about before, he doesn't like the lower class, the poors. He doesn't like those poors. And he delivers the best insult of the game by far. I don't think it's close. He says, "You've been less than we from the moment your base-born father fell upon your mother in whatever gutter saw you sired."
Oh, that's so good.
There's never been a better burn. You were born in a gutter. You're less than us because of that. Your base-born father fell upon your mother and insulting his father's ability to have sex. Just perfect. 10 out of 10. He's a bastard, but man, does he speak a good tongue.
Man, he would be really good in Nick's Cannon show. In Wild and Out, he would be amazing.
He'd be insufferable on Twitter.
Oh, he would.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't remember what he says here in the PlayStation 1 script, but it is not that. Like, I read that out loud to my wife just because she was there, and it's like, this guy's a dick, and I like it. He just fits this narrative so well, and we grow to hate him more and more as the story goes on.
He also does a thing that a lot of people do in America right now. He cites God's will as a reason as to why he hates the poors and why nobles are better. I can't even make a pithy joke about that. That's just how it is in America right now. People using God and Jesus as a means to be cruel. It sucks. Of note here, Delita starts wondering here if we're the good guys. And ultimately we do spare her at Delita's request and Ramza's request. Bastard Argath does not want that. They don't see her as an enemy. She gets pissed. She says, "You deny me even the mercy of an honorable death? A pox on you and your pity. So long as you bear the name Beolv, you will ever remain an enemy to me." She lays it out straight. And I don't know how the PS1 version frames this, but Ramza, our sweet little babe, Pollyanna-ish, born yesterday, he cannot figure out why everybody hates him for the first 2 chapters of this game. It's so funny. Anyways, back at Castle Wiegraf. Gargaroth. Did we meet Gargaroth yet? Is this the first time?
I believe this is the first time.
Well, he and his men are on chocobos and they kidnap Tietra. Zalbag barely saves Alma. Remember, Alma is Ramza's sister. Barely saves her. Dycedarg is extremely injured. Our crew kind of speaks to him as he's healing in bed. We've got to save Tietra. Dycedarg says, "Don't worry about it. Zalbag has it taken care of." And no, that's not going to fly. Delita needs to go. He's not having this. Ramza is trying to be the voice of reason. He says, you got to calm down. We can't go right now. It would be fruitless, is what he says. I would have you obey reason. We know not where to begin. To search now would be fruitless. Delita, in one of those amazing little bespoke animations, grabs his collar, shakes him. He's like, "Fruitless? You speak of my sister's life." Really terrific. I love the trajectory of Delita. I mean, he's such a well-written character so far.
It's funny, even though we're playing as Ramza, I felt myself, and I still do, gravitating towards Delita as a character, and almost wish we were playing as him, just because his morals are front and center. He doesn't hide anything from you. He's very righteous, and I love his passion. And if I were in the same position as him, I would act exactly the same way. And how it is that Ramza is still kind of on the fence as to what's going on around him. It's like, come on, man, it's right in front of you. So seeing Delita do this and how this is ultimately going to drive Ramza's character development forward later down the road, it's wonderful. These are great characters.
I think that's what makes Delita such a good deuteragonist, is that it's easier to relate to him because he sees the injustices in the world. Most of us are not going to be quote-unquote highborn, whatever that means in real life, like Ramza. Ramza is so naive, he can't see beyond his own nose, to use a phrase we saw previously. It's so much easier to relate to Delita and see the injustices here, while our point of view character is just like, why can't we all get along, guys? Come on. He'd be posting Instagram stories about, being good to your neighbor and stuff like that.
Oh, Ramza.
Argath the bastard comes out. We said that Dycedarg's going to take care of it. Argath says, I'd not believe a word of that fairy tale if I were you. I would not go out of my way to rescue some common maid, which just pisses Delita off. He punches him square in the jaw and knocks him down. This is where he keeps saying, Ramza, you're highborn. Get away from this lowborn trash. Ramza's saying, no, Delita's my friend. Delita fucks off, and then Ramza tells Argath to fuck off multiple times. This little triangle is disintegrating. We're all going to be at each other's throats. We are at each other's throats.
At that moment, the first time that I went through that, I felt like, Palpatine, when he was telling Anakin to kill Dooku. I would have told Delita, just kill him. He's nothing. Just get rid of him.
Ramza's too much of a baby boy, like a pure little boy, to do that. Plus, that would have serious ramifications too. Argath, he's not really part of our crew, but I can't imagine that the brothers would look upon Ramza murdering some random dude in the employ of somebody else. And the Marquis, that's right. That would cause all kinds of shit, I bet.
Has the scene where Argath tells them about their grandfather happened at this point?
Yeah, that happened before, where he mentioned his grandfather was branded a traitor, even though it may not have played out that way, but that's what everybody believed anyways.
Right, so I even wonder if the brothers would even care if they got rid of Argath because of that rumor of his grandfather.
I don't think they'd care about Argath specifically so much as the fallout with the Marquis. Because, remember, they're banking on him acquiescing, whatever that means. Ramza doing us a solid, put the Marquis in our pocket. Like, he's got to scratch our back now. Killing one of his boys, killing Argath, that would bring down some political shit onto our family.
Yeah.
It would turn into like a Sopranos situation where everybody's whacking each other, He whacks him, he whacks the other, I'm whacking myself. Patreon.com/pixelprojectradio. There's a scene right after this of Delita and Ramza kind of mulling the situation, Delita wishing he wasn't lowborn. I only bring this up because they do this thing, this common thing that unites them across classes, of blowing onto a piece of grass, putting it between your thumbs and blowing it so it buzzes. Can you two do that? Did you ever do that as kids?
I tried after seeing this game to see if I could make it happen. Could never get it to happen.
Yeah, I think my dad did it with a leaf once, but it was like a big, thick leaf. I'd never tried it.
Yeah, you need like big, thick. I don't know the actual name for that flora, but like the big, thick kind of grasses that like they're not as pliable and stuff as like regular grass. I could do it sometimes as a kid, but I only bring it up here because it happens later, and it is the most grating sound in a video game I've heard in a long time, and it goes on for a little bit. I can't wait. I'm going to play it so many times in this recording. So we get another Milleuda fight here. This is the fight that's going to end up killing her. That's not going to be great. Her own men, her own knights suggest that they surrender. They know that they're beat. She says, if I'm to die, I'd sooner do it swinging a sword than swinging from the gallows. Incredible. I really like her. I wish she had more screen time.
Same. I really like her a lot, and I will say that specific line that she belts out about not being led away in chains, I felt genuinely bad about this battle. I did not want to fight her.
She's one of the few characters in this game that, like, well, maybe not, but she talks the talk and walks the walk. You know, she's not just posting Instagram stories. She's out, like, boots on the ground. It's great. She's terrific. Delita is, you know, further and further wondering if we're the good guys. Ramza, our little born yesterday head in the clouds boy, has no idea why she hates him so much, even though she's explicitly said this. Us killing her really breaks Delita down even more, though. Let's keep going. There's a little scene between Wiegraf and Gargaroth. They kidnap Tietra, believing she was a Beowulf, even though she is not. Wiegraf kind of lays out the line a little bit more. If by our deaths a single drop of noble blood should water the earth, they shall not be in vain. Like we said, Wiegraf is ready to sacrifice it all. He won't stop. Systemic change needs action. And it leads into a fight with them at the Windfall Flats. Turns out, Wiegraf is Milleuda's brother. He ain't none too happy about what we did. I love this fight. This was really dramatic.
Yeah, this was a fantastic fight, because not only did, arguably, depending on where your viewpoint is as a player at this point, we did something that we really truly didn't want to do. Now we realize that there's people that are connected to this. We now severed that we now severed that family connection with even someone that we're trying to fight, and it still feels bad. So the emotional stake here in this battle is very apparent, and Wiegraf himself is a very formidable opponent. There's one specific move that he uses, I can't remember the name of it offhand. It does a decent amount of damage, but there's also a small chance that it will instantly KO one of your friendly units, and there were some times where all he did was just land those hits in succession, and I found myself back at the title screen. It was rough.
I'm telling you, dude, the percentage... every time I say that, I think of the Scott Steiner thing, and I almost say perchances.
Your chances of winning drastically go down.
The percentages of success and failures in this game feel totally off to me.
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't know what behind the scenes number crunching is actually happening, but I never had that good a success rate in any of my battles, so something's afoot.
Oh yeah. Like even throwing stones, you miss a lot of stone throws.
So they've got Tietra. We keep asking for her back. She's not even a Beowulf. Ramza says, can you not even distinguish those that associate with us from us ourselves? To which Wiegraf just says, should I? I love that. They're complicit in it. She's complicit in it, knowingly or not, or at least in his eyes. He says that he'll give Tietra back. That was always the plan, if we can see the end of battle. It's great. He does have another line before we get out of here, though. He says to Ramza, of course, because these first two words describe Ramza better than anybody. He says, Callow child, the hands that guide history's reins are ever black with blood. Think you Dycedarg's hand more just? And this is one of my favorite lines, too. A new justice is born and dies on the lips of each man who would pronounce it. Fuck yeah. This script, man. This script is so good. It has a few stumble points, but darn is it good.
So this is the second time they've put doubt towards Dycedarg in Ramza's head.
And Ramza just doesn't see it. He's just like, no, my brother wouldn't do that.
No.
He was born yesterday. Thank God that he flees in this battle. I had two guys, like 1-on-1, 1-on-0 on the death counter. It was about after this battle where I was like, okay, I'm going to grind a little bit more. I think that just rolling with 7 people was kind of putting me at a disadvantage too. So glad I dismissed those two, but dang, I was on the cusp.
Yeah, same. This is where I started to do some heavy grinding as well, and it's going to come in very handy in the next battle.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, unfortunately they took Tietra. They said they wouldn't. Liars. Hanses collectively on fire. So we go to the Zeekden Fortress. We're fighting Gargamel. One of the best scenes in the game. This was striking to me. Like, literally dropped my jaw, like on the floor, cartoon style, without the tongue rolling out and hitting myself on the head with a hammer, though. It's our first little board with snow. Graggoroth is holding Tietra hostage. This is his bargaining chip. House Beowulf wants her back. He's got her. This is a great, this works in his favor so well. And he also says the keep that we're at is rigged with gunpowder. So at any time, he can just blow this shit up. Our crew rolls up. Gargoroth is losing patience. Neither side is making any headway. Argath shows up with Zalbag. He's threatening to shoot. He's got arrows, not guns. He's threatening to shoot. And after a while, Zalbag, who's standing next to him, he gives the okay. He says, "This changes nothing, Argath. Loose your attack." And I thought he was just going to shoot Gargoroth in the head. He shoots Tietra fatally. Music completely stops. Neither seem remorseful. The only person that's reacting that isn't on our crew is, believe it or not, Gargoroth. He just says, "Gods have mercy." And this, I don't know how accurate this is in the world of literature, but in my high school, one of my high school English classes, one of my teachers said that one way to think about the climax of a story is when something changes and irrevocably sets the story on a different path. Things can never be the same again. So like Frodo leaving the Shire, that's not the climax. Frodo could easily turn around and come back, right? Here, Tietra has been shot and killed in front of Delita. Delita was already having doubts about whether or not he was fighting the good fight. He could never go back now. Incredible scene. I was shocked.
Interesting enough, I still remember how I felt even as a kid watching this for the first time. I wasn't so emotionally vested in Tietra as a character per se. I was more in shock of exactly how you described it, Rick. This changes everything. Anybody can see how impactful this scene was. You never saw it coming, for one, and for two, Tietra was the one thing it seemed like that was holding Delita down to earth. He's questioning what it is that he's doing. He, in some ways, may even be questioning his friendship with Ramza just based on Ramza's stance in the world right now. But the moment that arrow hits her in the chest and the music stops, it's all different, and all you can do is just go forward and hope what's going to happen after this has somewhat of a decent outcome. But really, how could it? And that is powerful. That is powerful writing, and again, powerful characters.
Man, honestly, the first time I saw this, I didn't think much of it because I thought, they just shot her. They're gonna end the fight. They're gonna use the Phoenix Down and revive her. Even if that was possible because of the way that the whole thing ends, no, there's no Phoenix Down fixing anything. And seeing it now and seeing the way that Delita reacts and having been able to play this now as an adult and being able to catch all the subtleties and all the little clues and little doubts that Delita has had and Ramza have had since, Tietra got taken. It's a powerful scene. It's a very powerful scene. Like this whole moment right now, it literally changes everything for everyone. Maybe not the brothers, but everybody else is just wow.
And inexplicably, except Ramza, Ramza is still not radicalized yet. I'm being a little facetious. He is now very much suspicious, but even if they did break video game logic, Chris, and used a Phoenix Down to revive her, think about the implications even still. Delita would then think they are that willing to do whatever they can to grasp power. They shot my sister to kill. And even if they could bring her back, nothing can change that. Their intentions are laid bare. Man, it's just really terrific. Zalbag leaves, and he's just like, all right, Argath, kill him. There is a lot of talking in here. Like we said before, if you don't bring, and this only matters later, if you don't bring named characters onto the field, you might miss some. But right now, we get it all. Argath is still yelling about being highborn versus lowborn. Ramza says, my birth was not my choosing. And Argath answers, spare me the bleating, which is what I'm going to start saying at work whenever my coworkers piss me off. Spare me the bleeding. Yours is a line of champions, of lords among men. To do great deeds is your destiny, and your duty as well. Much is there that cannot be done save by your hand. It falls to you to see it so, to act where we cannot. And despite being an absolute bastard shitheel, Argath a duplicitous, abhorrent human being is what I wrote here. He makes a point. Ramza has a lot of privilege. And privilege, like, that word gets bandied about today, and I think there are people on all sides of the spectrum that kind of misunderstand it, particularly the people that take it as an insult, to say, well, you've got X privilege, and they get mad about it. A privilege isn't a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. But the thing is if you have privilege, how do you use that platform for good? The Vogue conversation now that she's released another extremely mediocre album is Taylor Swift is a billionaire. That is a major privilege. How can she use her platform for good? Which my understanding right now is she doesn't do a whole lot of nothing. But that's what they're saying. Ramza is a noble by birth. By virtue of that fact, he's extremely privileged. How can he better his life and the life of those around him in society by leveraging that? Argath wants him to go about it a completely different way to serve different means. But Ramza, if he could just wrap his goddamn little callow head around it, he could use his throw for good, his weight for good. And he does eventually, to be fair. He's just a little slow on the uptake. But I like that. That's a great little plot point, a great little characterization.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think I really truly appreciated that until I was an adult and I replayed this game recently for it, but you're 100% right. And without repeating a lot of what you just said, like, there's maybe a responsibility that seems to go the wayside sometimes for those that do kind of have that sort of a privilege, but I think the game eventually gets us there, but really that overarching theme should be in the game, and I hope in our real lives, that whether you have that privilege or not, the end goal should always be to do the right thing by your fellow man and try to improve that which is around you. And Argath, again, while he's kind of going about it the wrong way, that was the first time I found myself going, you kind of got something there, and I wish I'd see more of that.
No, Argath is a bastard, and he deserves to die.
Well, he does. He dies very quickly here. Before he dies, just two quick little things. If you were doubting Delita's radicalization even a little bit, Ramza, Delita's very, very good friend, turns to him and says, "Delita, you're hurt." And Delita says, "Speak not to me. When Argath falls, my vengeance turns on you, Ramza." He wants to kill us. He also has him and Argath do a really nice little quick spar here verbally. Delita says, "Is your forked tongue done flitting? I'd not hear words from your lips." And Argath says, "Laughter then. Be not so hasty, Delita. You'll get that soon enough when you are on your way to your sister's side." Argath talks such a fucking good game, but we put him down like a dog here. He's dead.
Argath is one of the top shit talkers of all time. Like, he's right up there with Vegeta.
How is he, Nomad, you're playing the remaster. By the way, the remaster is out now. You're playing that, if I remember correctly. How's the voice acting for Argath?
Magnificent. Like, I cannot wait for people to experience this character with the voice acting that they put into this game. It is fantastic. It really projects a lot of this emotion, like this forked tongue sort of way that he speaks is absolutely captured in voice form. Fantastic.
Does your naivety know no end? How ironic is fate that one such as you would be born a Beowulf. Despite the privileges the name has afforded you, you would forsake duty and tarnish the honor of your house. Mayhap it is because you are youngest, and bastard-born besides. You think yourself spared the burdens of your lord brothers, and look only to satisfy your own whims. It brings bile to my throat.
Yeah, he's got a tongue of barbed wire, this one. But we cut that thing. He's dead. There's a really cool cutscene here. It's it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do symbolically, but it's effective nonetheless. There's a cutscene. Delita mourns over Tietra's body. Of course, Ramza tries to warn him of the explosion, but it goes off before we can even get the words out.
The powder! Delita! We must away!
Cuts him off mid-sentence. Ramza, we get a POV of how he sees it. He looks up at Delita, holding Tietra. His back is to us, fires raging around him. From our point of view, the fires seem to envelop him. Not only is his back to us, but the fires are enveloping him. That symbolism is fairly obvious, I think. The Delita that we have known is no more. That we, the players, have known and that Ramza has known. He is being born anew here. And we're going to see how he uses this newfound radicalization to move forward in the world. Again, just such a terrific deuteragonist. He's so good. And this is where the chapter closes out. Chapter 1 closes out the flashback. Ramza is walking away injured in the snow, and he says,
I had lived my life the only way that I had known. But when the pillars of that life came crashing down, I did not stand and watch them fall. I turned and walked away.
He ran away. He sounds remorseful when he says this. He sounds somewhat ashamed. As he should, I think we can argue. But he seems to now be realizing that he can't hide from who he is.
It's a tough scene. Certain people do certain things when they're faced with inevitable truths, I think. Some people face them, some people will regress and try to find excuses or do something different. And I think Ramza's way of kind of coping with everything that happened is very appropriate for his character. And it's almost relatable in a sense, depending on who you are. Like, I tend to do this in my real life. A lot of times, if something really bad happens, I'll tend to shrink away so I can think about it, mull it over, see what I did wrong kind of thing. And I kind of gravitated towards Ramza's way of thinking here, and it's sad, and I also think it's an effective way for the player to kind of empathize with him as the story goes on. Now he doesn't know what to fight for. Now he's got to figure out what type of person he is, and this is a great way to re-engage the player to Ramza's character.
So after this event happens and his world kind of falls in on him, there's a time skip between this and the next chapter. He kind of just exists for, I think it's like, a year or two since this happened?
I'm not sure. How long is that?
He joins the knights, the mercenary group that Gaffgarion works for, and he's kind of just staying quiet out of everybody's way, trying not to be any sort of standing out figure. Nobody needs to know he's a Beowulf. He's just existing before this meeting with Delita that happened at the beginning of the game. And that's when he kind of like comes back to life and he's, holy shit, something's happening. I need to figure out what's going on. So at this point in time after this, he's just kind of, he's not the Ramza that we knew, but he's also not Ramza, the guy that's gonna fight for what's right and be the hero and do all of that stuff. He's in a weird spot right now, and I find this such a strange point for a hero to be. It's such an interesting point for a hero to be in, not having any motivation and just being.
That takes us to Chapter 2, the Manipulative and the Subservient. I think in the PS1 version it's the Manipulator and the Subservient. So who is whom? We don't know. But like you said, Chris, we're in present day now. Ramza, Gaffgarion, that whole crew that we saw at the very beginning. Ramza's with them now. No longer has his rat tail, and he's in purple. Good look for him, I think. They're going off to get the kidnappers. Remember, Ovelia got kidnapped. We're going get her. Ramza demands to go. He really needs to see if this was Delita. Gaffgarion doesn't really seem to care at first, but once Ramza says he's going, he's like, oh, well, I guess I'm coming too. You get an option to invite some newcomers to your party, which I do, promptly steal their equipment and send them packing. They do that thing we talked about earlier. They beg not to go. I click yes. We hear a little gunshot, and they're out of town. Get out of here. Hit the bricks.
You're a cold man, Rick. Although I probably did the same thing too.
I stripped them bare and kicked them out.
Sent them out naked and afraid.
Look, I'm just role-playing the role of somebody high class. I'm taking what I want, and I don't care about the pores. Get them out of here, gutter snipes. Thank you for laughing. I was concerned for a second.
Oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's very, very Argath of you.
Oh.
We're going back to Dorter. I'm not huge on this show, but that reminds me, every time I read Dorter, I think of Coach Steve from Big Mouth. You know that show, voiced by Nick Kroll? The way he says the word daughter is Dorter. My daughter.
Oh, man.
I don't know. My immediate friend group in grad school, when that show first came out, we were real into the first season, but I don't know. Every season after, it just kind of got a little worse. I don't know.
Yeah, my wife and I did the same thing. First season was wonderful. After that, we abandoned it after a while. But that was a nice pull. I forgot all about that.
Order. There's a church official bribing this cell sword into fighting. Turns out he's fighting us. He's like, I'll do it for 2,000 a head. And the church official's like 500, and he's like, 1,700. And he's like, well, remember how quickly I can brand you a heretic and what that means for you. So he's like, all right, whatever, 700 it is. And then he sees us coming in. He has an oh shit moment. He like bends down, hands like out to the sides, and he's like, Gaffgarion. And of course, we're the good guys. We have plot armor. We're going to wreck their shit. It's, Gaffgarion, Agrius, Ramza, and a few of our own guys.
I like this battle because it's actually a good showcase to show how powerful Gaffgarion and Agrius actually are, and I think it's the first time that we really get to see some of their abilities on display. It's these 3-4 tile distant attacks that can also attack multiple tiles around them. Like, they're really awesome, and all I kept thinking to myself in this battle is, I want your skills, please. But yeah, we make mincemeat out of these people in like 2 turns or less, it feels like.
That's a good point. I've already talked about Agrius, my beloved paladin, but Gaffgarion, I can't remember the lore, but he is like a celebrated veteran of either the West Sky Knights or the East Sky Knights or something. Like, he made a name for himself. Like, he's a big deal. People know him. Now he just, he takes money and does the contracts. But yeah, he's earned his title. Sorry, Chris, I think I stepped in front of you.
No, you're good. You're good. You can keep going.
There's another little fight here against goblins and chocobo. They talk like Pokemon. You can save the chocobo or not. I only put this here partly because the goblins talking like Pokemon cracked me up. But there's a choice here that says, we should save the chocobo or we don't have time for that. And choosing we don't have time for that, which is what I did, lowers your bravery and faith by a couple points. And that goes throughout the whole game, I'm pretty sure. Like, these choices do affect things subtly.
Wow, I actually don't think I knew that. That actually makes sense.
So what? If you act selfless, you get points, and if you're selfish, you lose them?
Well, that I don't know. And in full disclosure, I heard that on another podcast that I trust. I didn't bother to look into it. But, I mean, if you choose Save the Chocobo, you can't let it die. Otherwise, that's game over. I think it lowers your points. I'm not 100% sure.
One other thing I wanted to point out about this battle real quick, the Chocobo itself. The Chocobo is named Boko, B-O-C-O.
Yeah.
And if you think back to the battle where we fought Wiegraf before the battle at Fort Zeekton, he had a Chocobo with him, and its name was Boko. So there's the theory that's flying around the internet that this is Wiegraf's Chocobo. I didn't realize that. Yeah. I didn't realize that until very recently, but I tended to grab the Chocobo and put him in my party, but I honestly never did anything with the animals either, so I didn't send them to the curb per se, but I did nothing with them.
You can get on them and it gives you a boost to your movement, but the downside is they just start reproducing like crazy whenever they're in your party, and you'll get eggs, I'm pretty sure, and just more monsters. That was the main reason I didn't want them there. Also, like, outside of serving as like movement vehicles, you can't really do much with them. They don't gain new anything. They're just kind of there. I don't know. If you're really role-playing it, I can see getting into it, but...
You can ride the chocobos?
I'm pretty sure, isn't that right?
Yes, you can. You have to move over top of them on the field. Yeah, and your character will jump on top of them. So yeah, your movement increases pretty decently. So you can move maybe 5, 6 down the. You can move like 5 or 6 down the stage. The only drawback there is now your chocobo has to have you on its back, and it does not act independently. So you lose a unit effectively. So what's more important to you?
Can you still use your skills and attack while you're on the chocobo?
I'm pretty sure you can still use your skills just like you were a regular unit with boots on the ground, so that's definitely nice. And I think the chocobo, don't quote me, has a pretty decent height advantage too, so they can kind of hop to hills or plateaus that are a little higher that you couldn't jump on before. So there's certainly benefits to it, but yeah, I never liked sacrificing a unit just so one unit can move a little farther.
I wonder if that using the chocobo would be a good strategy for leveling certain characters with short movements, because when there's certain classes that have terrible movement until you start getting more abilities like the move +2, jump +2. So I wonder if the chocobo would help circumvent that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea too. Like I'm thinking of Agrias specifically, characters that have kind of like her moveset and stuff. Like she moves 3 spaces at a time, and my other characters are moving like 5, 6 spaces, and it's so frustrating. So yeah, maybe the chocobo's right for you, listener.
I might try that out with Mustadio, because Mustadio has terrible movement.
The nice thing with that too is he's got a ranged pistol, so if he gets his movement up, that could be a very good sniper character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're heading to, oh boy, Zerkel? Probably Zerkel. Zerkel Falls. Delita is there with the princess, and he gets cornered by Knights of the Northern Sky. Put a pin in this. This part confused me a fair bit, and I'm going to look to both of you for clarification here. He gets cornered by Knights of the Northern Sky. They promise to release him if he lets the princess go, which is insane. And he says as much. He says, "Do you so enjoy the taste of lies?" It's another little arrow in the quiver for coworkers. "Your orders are to see the princess dead, and once I've watched you feed the falls her blood, I'm to believe you'd let me live, a witness to your crime?" And they play dumb. We don't know what you're talking about. That's when our crew shows up. The other knights see Gaffgarion, and they say, "All right, Gaffgarion, kill him." And he goes, "A change of plans, but a contract is a contract after all." And Agrias says, "You'd betray us?" And he says, "Betray you? You have a viper's tongue, milady. I betray no one. I'm in the order's employ, and they are of it. My task was to see the princess safely abducted, and theirs to see the ones responsible silenced. Princess is an obstacle to the throne. So long as she lives, the threat remains that someone could assert her claim above Prince Oranus's." This is a new guy. "2 heirs are one too many." And this is where Delita sort of spells it out. He thinks this through, that this is Dycedarg's plan, which Gaffgarion confirms. So here's what I'm pretty sure is going on. And I admit, I missed this on my first time around. I had to rewatch it. Became a little clearer to me. Some other podcasts cleared this up. Dycedarg ultimately planned to kidnap and kill Princess Ovelia. Dycedarg is under Duke Larg, the White Lion, to kill Princess Ovelia, carried out by Duke Larg's men, the Knights of the Northern Sky, disguised as as Duke Goltana's men, Knights of the Southern Sky. That would put the blame on them for killing the princess. That would take care of the princess and then get Prince Oranus to the throne, and take care of Goltana's men, because if word got out they did that, they're finished. They hold no more sway. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. And Duke Larg wants Prince Oranus because he is the king's latest son. He's like 2 years old. So if he is instated, Duke Larg, by extension, is basically in charge. He's the regent. Goltana doesn't want that. Goltana wants Ovelia as the heir. So that's what that power struggle is. Did I get all of that right?
Yes, you did.
That's honestly how I understand it. So if we're wrong, we're all wrong together.
Yeah.
I was also looking online, and some folks said, like, yeah, at this point in the story, you're not supposed to understand exactly what's going on. And a lot of this does get cleared up in Chapter 3, to be fair. So Yeah, I'm glad that I did some rewatching and looking into this because I was a little turned around here. But yeah, you fight against the knights and Gaffgarion. We're with Agrias. Agrias is loyal to the princess, like above all, loyal to the princess. Ramza too. They both look at her as a good person, not just like, somebody they need to protect because royalty. She's a good person. So that's what we're doing. We're fighting them. I don't remember this battle being too difficult for me.
Here's another pro tip for those that are going into this battle for the first time. Did you know, not that you would ever know this for the first time, but if you, before the battle, go into the roster and unequipped all of Gaffgarion's equipment, he will have nothing when he actually betrays you. So he is not a threat at all if you think that far ahead. So,
love it. That's great.
Now that is sneaky.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned to him in the first episode. I played this game a lot with my friend across the street, David, and he was the one that showed me this, and I don't know how he came across it, but it was so wonderful, because not only does Gaffgarion have some awesome equipment for that point in the game, just watching him spout all of his words and how he's going to turn on us and do these things, I hit him in one shot. It was wonderful.
That's pretty great. We get to a cutscene here. Delita thinks the princess is going to be safest with him. Ramza says this.
Hey there, folks. A quick warning. I wanted to include this cutscene dialogue because I like it, but the waterfall sound is pretty loud. So just be warned of that. You're going to hear a lot of rushing water.
What is this game you play with us, Delita?
Game? I do no more than speak the truth. You've made an enemy of the entire Order of the Northern Sky. Where would you now take her? Think, Ramza. This was Duke Larg's plan, and he would not act without counsel of the Queen. You cannot trust the crown. Would you then turn to Goltana? No, that would be folly. He would only offer up your heads in hopes of keeping his own.
And what so would you propose to do?
I would do only that which you, my lady, cannot.
You speak in nothings.
So Delita's going to leave the princess with us for now. He's got his own convictions. We don't know what he's doing, who he's with at the moment. So we decide to go to Cardinal Delacroix, presumably neutral in terms of the War of the Lions here, the battle between the two lions, Duke Goltana, Duke Larg. The church will surely help. Nothing can go wrong with the church in a JRPG.
Nope,
They're our
not
friends. Chris, you had mentioned Mustadio. We're going to Zaland on our way there, Zayland. This is where we save a man named Mustadio. He's there. And I think this is another one of those choices where we say, like, we have to save him, or like we can't be bothered, but even if you say we can't be bothered, you have to save him anyway. And I think that affects your bravery and faith. I think. Anywho's, we save Mustadio. He is a machinist class. He says that the Baert Trading Company is after him. That's who's chasing him throughout this battle, which is apparently a front for slave trading and opium smuggling, something like that. They're after something called the Auracite. Mustadio refuses to elaborate on this to us right now. They say that at the beginning of the battle, though, so we can catch that. He refuses to say anything. He said, "Oh, you're going to see the cardinal? I'm coming with you." Turns out his father is being held prisoner, and the cardinal can help. Agrias doesn't want to let him come because he won't say anything. It's not until Ovelia comes in and says, no, he can come. The music here, I really like the music, by the way. It's very punchy. It's very percussive. Really nice. This is also, by the way, where we get the first mention of a lost city, the, quote, ruins of a lost civilization that are buried beneath the streets of Goug, the Clockwork City. Relics from the age of Saint Ajora, when airships numerous beyond counting filled the skies. This stuff is all underground, and Mustadio is seeking to restore that stuff. That is, have either of you played Final Fantasy XII? I'm pretty sure that's when 12 takes place, like in those golden days of Ivalice.
Yeah, it does. Which, that would put this at the latest in Ivalice in the timeline?
At least between the two of those, yeah.
Yeah, because the Game Boy Advance Tactics and the one on DS, they are in a book. I know the first one is. I'm not too sure about the second one. So I don't think they take place in Evilise per se, even if the world they're in is called Evilise.
Interesting. I played a couple hours of 12. I didn't dislike it. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't go. I really want to now that I know that it's in the same time period, though. Before we move on, Mustadio fights with a pistol, and Ramza's like, hey man, what's that? And he goes, oh, this? And he starts pointing his gun directly at us. He's like, hey man, this is a pistol. It shoots shit. And it's like, hey buddy. hey buddy, why don't you lower that thing? Hysterical. Really funny.
It is. I don't know if I'm just making this up or if this is part of the story, but does Mustadio actually say that pistols shoot magic? They have to. People could put their magic into the gun to shoot like a fire bullet, an ice bullet, thunder bullet, or is that from somewhere else? Because I didn't see that during this playthrough, but I feel like that's a thing.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Nomad, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I cannot think where in the story this conversation comes up. But yeah, you can find different guns that will actually kind of shoot magic spells, so it's almost like shooting a fire spell across the map kind of thing. But yeah, narratively, I can't remember where this pops up.
And also, the machinist class is crap. It is trash after you get all the skills that it has. Like the aim, the snipe skills are not great. They have really high chances of failing, and all they do is like, you can't move, you can't attack, and just learn how to use the guns and change Mustadio to a different class because he is awful as a machinist.
I will say the leg crippling one did save me a couple times. Like it came in clutch. But he doesn't do a ton of damage. I mean, he's kind of just like a slightly better archer.
Yeah, he's got some uses depending on how you use him, but I feel kind of the same way as you do, Chris. Although the masochist in me would repeatedly shoot a unit in the leg for no damage so they couldn't move just because I could, while I threw rocks at myself to level up. But
right. And like the one thing I don't like about the class is that if you don't have high ground, you can't arc your shot like you can with the archer. They can do, like, if you have like an object or something blocking your path for your projectile, like it would arch with the archer, but with the machinist it just goes straight unless you're high up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Guns don't arc.
Yeah, they
shoot forward. That's how guns work. We get a little quick scene here with Lady Ovelia speaking to Agrius. I think it's Agrius and Ramza. She's also unhappy with her lot in life. You know, she didn't ask to be a princess. She wants to do more than she can. But more importantly, we get another grass buzzing scene with Ramza and Ovelia doing it at the same time. It is truly horrible. Let's hear it. I would like to hear it one more time. I would like to hear it one more time.
Please stop.
No, I'm just kidding. Patreon.com/pixelprojectradio.
It's just an hour-long edit of the grass blowing.
This, oh my God. It's truly terrible. It made me laugh really hard. We're going to Baliastor. This is the first fight, I'm pretty sure, with a summoner. Those guys are trouble. And you want to know why they're trouble? I mean, summoning takes a lot of MP until you get the half MP skill, sure, but summons don't hit your own, they don't do friendly fire, and they are strong. Summoners mess you up.
Yeah, and this particular board, if you will, is specifically designed for maximum summon efficiency, it seems like. It's a kind of a hill that goes like through the center of the map itself, and I think there's like like channels on either side of this. So like they have verticality right out of the gate. There is nary a place that they can't hit you with a summon, and it is brutal. Although the summons look pretty.
Aren't there also like some ledges that they can get on that you can't really reach from either the top or the bottom?
I think there was a couple near the back of the map, if I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, depending on where they position themselves, they kind of dug in really, really good, and it was bad if you didn't get to them fast enough.
I did not write a single thing down about this battle, so I will take your word for it. All I remember is getting absolutely bodied by summoners at some point, and that's when I decided they are priority number 1 anytime I see them. They're pretty good, though. Like, I've used summoners a little bit. I like their little horn on their head for the outfit. They're fine. You just basically have to get the half MP skill to make them even somewhat viable. Otherwise, you get, like, 1 attack and you're done. Maybe a couple if you use the Moogle. Which, by the way, I love the animations for these summons. The Moogle coming down is so cute. Little chubby little guy on his back. Shiva looks sick. Titan looks sick. I really like them. They look great. They also look more realistic than the little guys on the diorama board. I don't know. It's a nice contrast. We get a little cutscene here at Egro's castle. Dycedarg, we're about to find out how evil this guy is, tells Gaffgarion in relation to Ovelia to catch her, crush her, and make silent her song. Lady Agrias's and the others as well. What about Ramza? Quote, he soils our name. I thought this a chance to let him learn the harsh truths of the world, but the boy is too stubborn. Should he interfere, there's naught to be done. The music here, so sinister, rising in contour, sort of signifying Dycedarg's villainy. He also says that he's got it covered in regard to the Cardinal helping us, because Gaffgarion brings that up. Dycedarg is an evil SOB. He's pulling some serious strings back here. He is not on the side of, well, he's not on the side of Ramza. He is very much on the side of Beowulf. And never the twain shall meet, Beowulfs and Ramza, it seems like, in terms of ideology. That's kind of his whole character thing. He's struggling with his birth. He doesn't want to be a puppet. Well, Nomad and Chris don't have anything to add, so we're going to the cathedral. Another music track I really like. It's very mysterious. It's pressing. I like that a lot. The Cardinal agrees to help us. He's a man of God. Of course he was. He's not going to turn his back on his flock. This is also where we learn the story of the Zodiac Braves. 12 heroes who stepped forward to challenge the Lucavi, which are like demons, demon gods, and bring peace to Ivalice. Each of them had a special crystal, a Zodiac stone. It's even said that Saint Ajora walked among them. The Cardinal has one, Mustadio too. He says that if you pass the Auracite near these machines underground, the ancient machines under Clockwork City, Goug, you'll hear them stir. This is what Mustadio didn't want to tell us, but now the Cardinal basically says, hey man, if you want my help, you've got to tell everybody what's going on. Mustadio's dad wouldn't give Ludovic and the Barrett Company, Ludovic is kind of their kingpin, and the Barrett Company the stone, so they kidnapped him. And the Cardinal says, all right, I'm going to help you out. Pretty cool. Did you guys, in the back of your mind, think there's no way the church is going to be the good guys?
Hell no. I think at this point, I don't think I understood what you said. I'm just thinking that the church is evil.
Yeah. I was saying, like, do you really think they're the good guys here?
Hell no, they're not the good guys. Because at this point, I think I was out of Catholic school for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that'll do it to you.
So, yeah, no, and then what's his name again? Cardinal what?
Delacroix.
Delacroix, yeah, no, that dude sounds like his name is covered in blood.
Delacroix. LaCroix. You guys mess with LaCroix? Sparkling water?
It sounds like LaCroix tastes like if you touch a TV that has static and somebody screams the name of a fruit from another room while you're drinking water at the same time.
I had a bad first introduction to LaCroix. I tried the coconut one first. Not great. But the lime one I can do. The lime one is okay.
It's like watered down Sprite.
Yeah, you know, it hits the fizzy quota. It hits the fizzy quotient. I don't know. It's nice. Nomad, you mess with LaCroix?
You know, every so often when I go to my sister-in-law's for dinner on Sundays, I'll see like just a couple cases of it sitting over on the table. I tend to avoid it. I've heard nothing good.
No. I want my water tasteless. Like, I don't even want spring water. I want it to taste like nothing.
It's funny you say that. I can't do sparkling water if it doesn't have a flavor. I either want still water or sparkling with some sort of flavor.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Liquid Death is sparkling, right? They've got and I was shocked to find this. They've got a root beer flavored water that is really good.
Aaron swears by it. Aaron says it's really good.
It is so good. It's really good.
I'm going to have to try it.
Going back to the LaCroix of the game here really quick, I will admit, when I was younger playing this game for the first time, I actually believed his story and thought that the church would actually be able to bring me some safety. I was not raised religious in any way, shape, or form. I didn't really know what the church, in terms of like Catholicism or anything, really was when I was a kid. So all this kind of fell on me like, oh, you're telling me a story of 12 gallant knights of sorts that are taking down evil, walking with this Saint Ajora? Oh yeah, this checks out. I'm totally into this. So I was fooled as a child, but now I know better.
I did catch the parallel when I was a kid of the 12 knights and Saint Ajora to be Jesus and his 12 disciples. So I did catch that part, which I didn't understand why you would bring that up at this point. I also didn't catch that the Lucavi were demons that they were fighting against, but I was like, oh, cool. They have a Jesus stand-in. But, dude, that cardinal just rubbed me the wrong way since the first time I met him.
Talk about Catholic school, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey-o. We get a swamp fight here. It's inconsequential to the story. Swamps are a pain, though. Reduce movement, and if you stop in the swamp, not like cross through it, but stop, it'll poison you. Really tough. I also wrote some sort of a joke in my notes that I don't remember the context for. So I don't know. I'm not going to read this. This sucks. We're moving into Clockwork City of Goug, the Low Town, underneath of which is Mustadio's city. Cool music here. Nice little bassoon and oboe duo that starts it out. Love that. Mustadio, unfortunately, he's been captured in Low Town by Ludovic, the head of the Barrett Company, I think, and his dad is captured too. They're in no position to barter. So Mustadio tells Ramza, just hand over the stone. I stowed it in that chimney back there. So he gives it over to Ludovic, who says, hey, this'll make the Cardinal happy. They've been had. Church bad. The Cardinal is in on it the whole time. And he sicks his men on us. Get into a little fight here. Again, I did not write down who I took in to this fight. I get better about that as the notes go on, though.
Yeah, I can't remember what my party composition was at this point too, but I know I had at least one monk in my party at all times. Although there was a lot of shifting terrain in this particular battle, so I didn't get as much use out of their particular abilities as I'd like. But yeah,
this is one that's fought on the rooftops, if memory serves, right?
Yes,
that's awesome. Mustadio's dad, he's okay. Turns out Mustadio foresaw this happening. The stone that Ramza handed over was a fake. They used a fake because if this Auracite gets into the wrong hands, we've got capital T trouble. Rhymes with P, that stands for Auracite. Further trouble, once they realize the stone is fake, they're likely going to ransom Agrius and Lady Auralia. They stayed back at the church, by the way. Somebody says, that's ridiculous. He would only make an enemy of the crown. To which they respond, why do you think he wants the Auracite in the first place? The people tire of war and want salvation. The Cardinal means to use the legend of the Zodiac Braves to bring it to them. He's going to gather the Dragon Balls. They'll summon the Zodiac Braves. He is a third party in all of this. He does not care about the war of the White Lion and the Black Lion. I keep saying that. That's like a proper term that happens later. But he doesn't care about this power struggle. He wants it to end. He doesn't want either of them in power. He wants the church in power to bring salvation to the people, and he's going to force peace upon them.
In my opinion, I think this is where the story starts to show us the quote-unquote true evil enemy of the game. I think it's kind of a trope for JRPGs. You kind of have like your basery enemy, or at least what you think the enemy is. It's not quite black and white here in Final Fantasy Tactics, but now that the church is here, now that we're messing with forces that seem to be a little bit higher and we don't exactly understand what's going on, to me, I immediately honed in on church is now the next level bad entity here, and we will be fighting God at some point.
Oh, man. See, everything up until this moment of Final Fantasy Tactics, I have loved entirely. And I feel the same way now as I did when I was a kid when I played this. When it starts adding this Zodiac stuff into the story, I feel like it doesn't go down in quality, but this isn't the story I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely wish it would have stayed just in the grounds of reality, like political struggle.
Right.
I'm not mad that it gets kind of JRPG, we will kill God kind of deal. Like, I don't dislike it, but I would have preferred it to just stay grounded in a kind of reality.
Right. Like, I'm cool with the magic. I'll accept the magic. I'll accept the guns that have been lost for centuries. I'll accept the summons. But when it starts bringing in this stuff, I'm like, we had such a great thing going with the political stuff. Why do we have to do this turn? It's not done in a bad way, but still.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really thought of it that way. Like, I like it for the most part, but as I hear you both talk, I think I largely agree. This just adds another layer on top of everything else, and a lot of the political intrigue was great on its own, but depending on who you are, it can still be kind of hard to follow. But now you've got a third party in here using who knows what to try to circumvent everybody and take over, if you will, right? Like, it's really hard to keep track of that kind of stuff. But I found the lure fascinating. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, hot takes all around.
And then we get an added fourth party because we don't know what Delita's deal is right now. He seems to be acting as a free agent. We're not entirely sure. Speaking of Delita, you and him, Ramza and him, that is, meet up by these ships where he tells Ramza to stay out of this. He says, you seek to save a princess from a burning tower. In truth, you would only set her on a higher floor. There is only one person who can truly save her, and baby, that's me. He says all that. He says that last part too. We get another little scene. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Gaffgarion, speaking with Ludovic of the Barrett Company and Cardinal Delacroix, our previously assumed impartial third party, he made a deal with Dycedarg to capture Ovelia and hand her over, and in return, Dycedarg says you can just keep the Auracite. Much to Ludovic's dismay, Gaffgarion gets tasked with carrying all this out. He's trusted more by Cardinal Delacroix. Ludovic is pissed, to which Cardinal Delacroix says, I trust things to those who can be trusted. Men who fail me time and again are rewarded in another way. The screen raises up a little bit, and Ludovic gets murdered with a hilarious, sad trombone sound. Or at least that's how they tried to approximate a scream. Very funny.
Yeah, I always have a good chuckle at this, but now we truly understand what Delacroix will do to further his own gain. So funny as it is, very brutal.
Indeed, indeed. There's a quick fight at Balliaswale. That might have been a typo in Google. With Agrias, she joins back up with us. We've got to go get Ovelia. That's priority number one. So we go to Gogalata Gallows. Really sinister music. The wind is howling. Ovelia is standing on the gallows. She's about to be hung, executed. And we run up, but we played into their grubby little paws. This was a ruse by Gaffgarion. He is the executioner. Ovelia is one of his goons dressed up. And now we're going to have to fight him. He calls Ramza ever the gallant fool. And yeah, ain't that the truth, buddy?
This is the fight that I got stuck in when I was a kid. Right before my parents got me the action replays.
Oh, yeah?
I played this fight over and over and over again, and I couldn't finish it. I restarted the game, I think, a couple of times, and I would always get stuck on this fight. I could not get through it.
How'd it go this time for you?
This time, once I started having a rough time, I turned on the cheats. The issue was white mages. No, time mages.
Time mages.
Time mages, yeah, because they would do haste and slow and stop. And that, I think that's what I kept having issues with, because they would speed up Gaffgarion and then slow down or stop my entire team, and it was just brutal.
I had just as much a hard time as you did, Chris, when I was younger, too. Like, the time mages really ruined things for me, because they would always stop me in the worst possible spots, and what made it even harder, too, is I think there was one archer that started up at the very top of the Gallo area, too, so they had the height advantage. I could not make headway on this fight to save my life, and I almost quit here, too, until I just happened to luck into a victory where Ramza was the sole survivor. But this was tough. Was it tough for you, too, Rick?
Yeah, I'm almost positive this is where a summoner is, too. I have very distinct memories of getting bodied by a summoner. I might be wrong on that one. Actually, I do think I'm wrong. But I do remember the time mages and the archers. I had a time mage of my own, as well as a knight and a dragoon, I'm pretty sure. So I was beaten down. By the end, I had actually done my favorite thing. I cornered Gaffgarion in a corner so he couldn't move. And I was giving him potions and beating him down, potions, beating him down. I was school bullying that man.
Nice.
Yeah, he deserves it, man. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
No quarter. Cut him down. It goes back. We get a little scene. Delita and Ovelia, they're in a back room. She is refusing to eat. Delita says something really cruel. He says to her, "Do you think to starve yourself? None would weep, you know." Horrible. Why is he being so mean? The Cardinal Delacroix, and some knight, they walk in, and a ball is dropped here. The knight says that she's not a real princess. Music stops. Everybody turns to look at him. He says, "The girl does not yet know, Lord Falmarv," which is the knight. "She is not Ovelia. The true princess died years ago. She is but a double. You are a straw doll placed in an empty crib by council members who bear no love for the queen. They placed you in the royal family after assassinating the queen's 2 eldest sons, attributing their deaths to malady. But against all odds, another prince was born." That's Prince Orinus. "Whether he is in truth on Doria's," that was the sick king that died at the beginning, "whether he is in truth on Doria's seed is highly suspect, of course, because of the health. Regardless, all of the council's work was made for naught the moment Prince Orinus drew his first breath." So this is the whole struggle. Like, she is not the real princess, but she's still sought to be on the throne by third parties. Larg and his men want Orinus to be there because that prince is the true heir, and let's be honest, Larg wants to be in charge. It's a whole kerfuffle, and we don't even get a read on these guys very well. They say, "We are no friends of Duke Larg, nor do we sit in Galtana's camp. Think of us simply as allies." Totally unclear what's going on now. There are threads going in so many different directions, and I kind of like that they're doing it like this. I like when the puzzle is built out from opposing corners, and it's not until you start to get things in the center that the picture begins to appear. I really like that way of storytelling. It's a lot of fun. How shocked were you guys when we found out that she was a double?
I didn't remember that she was.
Surprise.
I'm playing it for the first time all over again.
Yeah, but when that part came up, it made a lot of sense to me why well, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but slight spoilers. Delita becomes protective of her. I don't think it's ever confirmed or denied that she's lowborn and was just taken and placed to replace the other one. It doesn't.
No, I think it's confirmed here because they say something to the effect of like, it doesn't matter if you were a butcher's daughter, like you're serving a purpose here. And that becomes part of her character. Like, she doesn't want to be told what to do.
Right.
Like, she wants agency.
Right. So now, because of that, it makes sense to me why Delita, like I said, becomes protective of her. I like this part of the story. I really like the whole political aspect and having all of these parties, these random separate parties coming in and wanting to have their pawn be placed upon the throne for whatever reason that's not being explained.
It's funny, when this happened initially, I of course was shocked. I did not see this coming, and the way that they used the music and then decided not to use the music in this scene really pressed that point and how critical this revelation was. But I also remember thinking to myself, given all of the backstabbing and the double crossing that has happened up to this point, my first thought was, is Fulmarv just feeding her a line of BS just to break her will down? Is this just another tactic to get her to do what he wants? Like, it didn't make sense for me to think that at the time, but my thought was, this is just more tug and pull, cloak and dagger stuff. Like, but not to take away from what it was still very amazing, and I still think it's a great addition to the level of intrigue that's going on around here, but that's where my head was at. It's
an interesting thought. I mean, so many sides at this point, so many folks have been shown to be like duplicitous and snake-like. How do we trust anybody? I can see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
There's an extra scene in the War of the Lion. Oh my goodness. There's an extra scene in the War of the Lions version here with Wiegraf sort of not repenting, but mourning at Milleuda's grave. Some other third party in a cloak named Lawfrey comes up and tries to recruit him, saying that they're both after the same thing. We could use your power, and then you'll be aligned with us, two sides of the same coin. We don't really know much about what's going on. But it proceeds to the Lionel Castle gate. Gaffgarion, unfortunately, he's up to his bullshit again. Ramza somehow gets on top of the gate. I have no idea how, to let his people through. But Gaffgarion corners him on one side. He wants to square off mano a mano, fisticuffs, just you and me, baby, while all of your guys are on the other side of the gate taking down his army. I started writing my notes here as I did the fight. This is where the summoner is that fucks everybody's shit up. This is where I was like, okay, these guys need to be priority number one. They need to go down immediately. Horrible. They really got me. This fight in general took me a couple tries. It's really tough.
The last time I played this game, oh man, was a while back. I found out that there is a shop nearby with a certain item that you can equip Ramza that helps a lot with this fight, because it does, I believe it raises how often he gets to move, to act. Even if you have exhausted your move and your attack, it makes it so that you can do more movements more often, so that it circumvents Gaffgarion healing himself every time that he attacks. And because whenever you save, the game kind of locks you wherever you save, I wasn't able to get that item, so I was stuck there and I couldn't beat the fight. Even if I got to open the gate, everybody would just get completely destroyed.
Hold on, open the gate?
Yeah, you can open the gate.
You can open the gate?
Yeah, you can open the gate.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a little switch in the bottom. You open the gate and you can move your units however you want, which honestly the best tactic is to create a bottleneck. Get rid of Gaffgarion, create a bottleneck, and let everybody just walk into their death. But
that's so funny, the way that this battle played out for me. Like, the tough thing is Gaffgarion heals himself every time he hits you, right? That's what makes this tough. What I did with Ramza is I just used metal and focus to just buff my strength every single turn until I could catch him. And then I was doing more damage to him. And eventually, my folks on the other side of the gate had nothing to do because they killed everybody. So I just had people hitting each other and spamming potions, just doing needless actions, farming JP while Ramza just whittled his health, Gaffgarion's health down. It took a while, but I got a lot of JP out of that battle.
Ramza's fighting to the death and his team is just out there throwing rocks at each other.
They're really earning their keep, huh?
Oh man, my method for this is I ended up having Ramza as a monk. I brought him back as a monk. I'd use that chakra ability every once in a while to heal himself, but really for me what it was...
it's so good.
Oh, it's fantastic. I ended up having him become a chemist for a little bit so he could learn the auto potion ability, which makes him use a potion once he gets hit every so often to help kind of offset the healing that Gaffgarion would get. But I made it a point to make sure that Ramza used the shockwave ability as a monk, so I put as much distance as I could to stay out of his range of that healing attack that Gaffgarion does, and that's kind of how I cheesed it.
Wow, there's apparently a bunch of tactics to get through it that I didn't think about.
Final Fantasy tactics.
Right? It's in the name. Man, that's so
if
funny.
only we could get Ben Starr to do some sort of monologue like he did in Final Fantasy 16, but about Final Fantasy Tactics.
No, I think I'm fine without any more speeches about using Final Fantasy in clever little ways.
Your fantasy is final.
Who does he play in here? Doesn't he play Dycedarg in the new one?
He does, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Man, him and Jennifer English are just having a bombastic year. And good for them. They deserve it. They're great. Man, that is so funny that my crew was just on the other side of the gate, just slacking on the team project, being terrible. That's too funny.
Hey, but kudos to them for at least doing something to train and get better. I mean, they could just be slacking off at work, but hey.
That's true. Chris, you had mentioned that Delita gets overprotective or gets protective of Ovelia. We see that a bit here. Like, he's very firm with her. They're walking along this, like, scenic place. He's very firm with her, but, you know, he's not hostile, but he's not kind. He's just kind of like, you need to be with me or you will die. But he does protect her here. Some Northern Order goons find them. It's over before it even starts. Delita, who is a holy knight, is crazy strong. Ovelia fights here too, and it's real funny. In my game, this one of the goons tried to hit her. She dodges it and socks him right in the gut, knocks him out. And she actually, in my mind, landed the final blow too. So she was holding her own.
She's got them hands.
Yeah, don't mess with Ovelia. Dang.
This is it. This is where we finally confront the Cardinal at the Castle Oratory. Some real stewing and insidious music here. He says, just leave the Auracite and go. He says that the princess is gone, and she's joined their cause. And again, I forget which one of you said this already. I think Nomad. How can we even believe him? Is this doublespeak? Like, what's going on? She joined their cause, aims to take the throne. He says she saw this, that is, that it would be better to join them. Why can't you? There's no reason you should not join us as well. The thought of besting your brothers holds no allure? Now he's even playing into his insecurities. We care no less for this world's faith than you. Together we can change Ivalice for the better. He says, I have no wish to change the world, Ramza does, but nor can I stand by while men suffer and die on the whim of some select few. He does not want to be the special boy of destiny. He doesn't want to change the world. He's slowly getting to a better spot, though, with his backbone and morals.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Ramza seems to be coming into that, like, I think of him now as that stereotypical good guy, as in he wants to do the right thing, do right by people, and that's good enough for him. And I think that's perfect for his character, not getting lost in everything that's happening around him. So I think this was the part that I really started to resonate with Ramza and liked him a lot more as a character as he kind of went through this path of his. So this was a really cool scene for me.
But he's still in that, why can't we all just get along mentality. He still hasn't been completely radicalized like Delita has.
Yeah, he's still naive in a lot of ways. Very true.
Yeah, that might be part of his upbringing. You know, he grew up, he is a half-blood technically, but he grew up, I'm pretty sure, in the academy. He grew up pretty cushy. So these hard realities, the harsh realities of living as a lower class, they just haven't affected him. It shapes your way of thinking, you know, how you grew up. It's unescapable.
Mm-hmm.
This leads into, easily for me, the toughest battle of the game so far. The Cardinal realizes that we're not going to listen to anything but action, so he takes out his own Zodiac Stone, flashes of red that looks super cool. He transforms into basically a more grotesque version of Oogie Boogie from Nightmare on Elm Street? Nightmare Before Christmas. He does not transform into Freddy Krueger. Cuchulainn, the Impure. This battle is wicked, dude. Did you guys think this too, or was I just really unprepared?
I 100% turned on cheats for this fight. I still had a hard time.
Gotta respect your time.
He still destroyed my party nonstop. I had to turn on this cheat called, I think it's called like first move, always first move, and it basically turns Ramza into the only moving unit. You can move and attack nonstop, and still, it took me a good 2 or 3 minutes of just dealing damage to get him to die.
Yeah, it was very rough for me too. Damage, like you say, that was my tactic after a few times of failing this fight. I ended up bringing in a ninja that has the dual wield ability, so they could do hold 2 weapons, so double the damage essentially. I had a monk and a dragoon at this point, but what really tipped the battle in my favor is I had a white mage that I taught the holy magic.
Nice.
That did some pretty decent damage. Like, it didn't quite turn the tide or anything, but it made a heck of a difference. The fight was still hard as hell, but that's what got me through. Just pure beatdown with holy.
So you were grinding so much in this game that you had the ninja at this point?
When I was a kid, I had so much time on my hands. Absolutely. And then I'll give everyone a little bit of a peek behind the scenes on the remaster. There is a fast forward feature for battles, so you can actually move battles forward quickly. When I get to this point in the remaster, you bet your ass I will be grinding to a point where I'm going to have a team of ninjas just wail on this guy because I'm not having it.
I just got the ninja, and I'm like 20 hours in. Like, it's taking me. I'm like on chapter 4, and I just got the ninja.
Oh, man.
I've got a few folks as ninja. Right now I'm trying to get Ramza to master Black Mage for Dark Knight class, but I want to get ninja up so I can get dual wield, so I can do the monk dual wielding fist, which I think will help me with an upcoming notoriously difficult battle. But speaking of difficult, I actually thought this battle with Cuchulainn was a scripted loss, because on turn 1 he uses his ability called Nightmare that it just does a ton of status effects. Everybody on my team, except for one of my NPCs, got either put to sleep or stoned. The NPC that was left had a doom count over her head. Ramza also had a doom count while he was asleep. So I was like, oh, okay, I saw that. I saw that his stats, all his HP and stuff were question marks. I was like, oh, okay, this is a forced loss. Nope. Nope. He took me out, though. The only way that I could do this was, I think it was luck. My Ramza and Agrius just managed to rush him and beat him down. It was tough stuff, man.
Yeah, my party got turned to stone, it got put to sleep, it got doom countered, it got turned into toads. So there was at one point I had 5 toads dealing damage and not really doing much. Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
It's like fighting a Marlboro.
I wish it was a Marlboro.
Yeah, I could have used a Marlboro fighting this guy, am I right? Cowboy killers. No, I don't smoke. Not anymore. I was never a smoker. I don't know why I said that. But we kill this guy. We killed a church official. We're one step closer to killing God.
This part back then felt like throwing a wrench into the whole story, and now it still feels like throwing a wrench into the whole story, because now we have these demigods basically that we have to fight. I wish this wasn't in the game, because I feel personally like it doesn't really mesh with the story. Like, it clashes a little bit, but I get it. It's Final Fantasy. You have to kill God at the end, but still, this is not the story that I wanted.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get really JRPG, you know? And again, like, it's not bad. I'm with you. I would have preferred it not being this, but I'm interested to see where it goes, I suppose. We are one step closer to killing God. We're also one step closer to closing out this chapter. We get a little scene here. We're about to learn what Delita's deal is a bit. At the Zeltenia Castle Keep, Duke Goltana, who we're seeing for the first time, much older than Duke Larg, by the way, has Delita here, and he wants to know more. Because Delita saved Ovelia, and he likes Ovelia. This is where we learn, like, remember in the beginning, Ramza saw Delita running out of the castle with Ovelia, and he was like, why is he under the banner of Duke Goltana? They had never met before. This is the first time that he's meeting him. He introduces himself. He said that he did this under Baron Grimm's orders, disguised as one of Goltana's men, a sheep in lion's clothing, which is such a good line. I love that. Delita also brought a prisoner who made an attempt on the princess to, quote, stain Duke Goltana's name and keep him from Lazalia, which is the central part of the kingdom. Apparently, this prisoner traitor, was given an order by a close advisor to Goltana, who wanted to curry favor with Larg. And on the spot, when he says this guy, Chancellor Glavane, speaks up, and he throws an uproar. He throws a fit. He's like, how could you say this? You speak nonsense. And it turns out he's the traitor. Delita's like, you got to tell us who it is. And he's like, you promise I'll be safe? He's like, yeah. He's like, it's him. It's Glavane. And Delita spends no time thinking. He cuts him down right there. Pretty good. Delita's taking charge here.
Such a badass.
Oh, big time. I found this scene to be really, really cool just because when we left Delita at the end of chapter 1, like, at least for me, it's like there's that symbolism of rebirth and then how he's been radicalized and all that. I had in my head that he was going to go about this in like a very, very forced fashion. Like he was going to kind of impose his will on others and try to tear things down with force, but this is the scene for me that really stuck in that Delita has a plan. He really does, but he's going about this his own way. He's using these tools of deception and manipulation for his own good here. Like, not once did I think that Delita wanted to do anything remotely positive for Goltana. He just wanted to get in favor with him and a few others around him. His end game is still a ways off, but he's got something cooking, and Delita continues to be a fascinating character because of it.
Oh yeah, he's just planning. Like, he is way smarter than people give him credit for. Argath would have never thought that he would play so many people against each other and for his own good and fake being loyal to whoever and being so ruthless and decisive as to cut somebody down without an order just because it would curry favor and it would show, Larg that I'm the guy that's going to get what you need done. And it's just because he wants to further his agenda no matter what.
And I think, that's because Argath was thinking purely in terms of class. And now that Delita is taking control of his destiny, that's not an issue. That's kind of one of the minor themes in this game, is a sort of like free will versus determinism thing, where Delita refuses to be constrained by the chains of how he was born. And Ramza too. Ramza's casting those chains off as well, and they're doing it from like different angles, Ramza being a highborn, Delita low. And I hope that plays more prominently going forward. I think it will. I like that theme a lot, taking control of one's lot in life. I don't want to say taking responsibility, but crafting and molding your own life how you want it. That's very attractive to me. And I know it's a more complex conversation than that, especially in real life. There are some things that you just, like cyclical poverty, for example, that you're kind of born into and really, really weigh your hand down. They give you a real stinker of a card. But yeah, I don't know. This idea of taking charge of one's destiny is always something that I've really been attracted to. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, hear, hear.
But with cutting the traitor down, he kind of shows Goltana that, he's in his pocket. He's one of the good guys, for him anyway. And he makes a call to march on Lazalia. And closing out chapter 2, we get this still image describing what happens next. It says, you can see like chocobo guards fighting. It says this: Following his sack of the royal capital of Lazalia, Duke Goltana banished Queen Luveria to Besalat for her hand in the conspiracy and crowned Ovelia queen. Quick aside, Queen Luveria was in Duke Larg's court. She wanted Prince 2-year-old.
Oranus?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Back to the quote. But Duke Larg, insisting that I should have read 2 lines ahead. But Duke Larg, insisting that Prince Oranus was the true and rightful heir, at once crowned the child prince and declared himself regent. Moving then to free the queen, Duke Larg dispatched the Order of the Northern Sky to Besalat in the name of the new crowned king. Duke Goltana, in turn, set the Southern Sky to march in Ovelia's name. The curtain had risen on what history would one day record as the War of the Lions. Just to clear something up for me super quickly, I'm not misunderstanding this that they're both crowned at the moment, am I? Like, one didn't usurp the other, like they're just both in charge because both dukes said so, and now they've got to do something about it. Is that right?
That's precisely how I understand it. They're both in that seat, and, well, there's only room for one, so now they're forcibly taking action.
Oh yeah, 2 rulers in the position of 1. That's not going to cause any turmoil.
Nah.
No, of course not. But that's chapter 2. Man, I'm glad that we got this far. I was worried that we wouldn't. That leaves us so much breathing room for the next 2 episodes. That's great.
Yeah, there was a lot to unpack this time around, but really the plot moved pretty quick up to this point, and now that a lot of the major pieces are set and things are really in motion, and the War of the Lions is now upon us, it's just gonna get better from here. Like, it's awesome at this point. I love this part of the game. Even though we're messing with those JRPG kind of tropes, I was invested then, and I tend to stay vested now when I replayed it. So this is going to be fun. I can't wait to get back together with you two and keep on talking about this.
I can't wait to get back to playing this game because I cannot tell you how hard it is to not put time into this game. Because I'm afraid I'm going to finish it and not remember anything.
Yeah, that's the struggle.
But I tell you, man, up to the point where I'm at now, I forgot how amazing this game is. Even with all the JRPG bullshit that it has, the whole political stuff and the machinations and the scheming and plotting and everything, it's great. And you get to see a lot of, well, not a lot, like some stories of some characters that are victims of war or victims of other people's schemes, and it's just great storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Hear, hear. I'm excited too. There are so many people acting, how to phrase it, acting in their own interests, inflicting iniquity on so many people around them while taking umbrage to folks that are in their same positions on the other side doing the exact same thing. I'm loving how many plot threads are slowly winding together, like a double helix or triple helix or quintuple helix by the end or something. It's been good fun. I totally get what you mean too. I get sucked into grinding for JP just to get the cool jobs. It's so good. I'm having such a blast with this game. I expect it to only get better. I hope I'm right. I'm rewatching scenes using a Let's Play, and also taking note of where I can get music from. But at the end of chapter 2, it's definitely under halfway. So there's plenty more to talk about, and we are going to do that next time. For now, of course, I've got to thank the listeners for sticking around and listening so far, so thank you. I hope you loved the show today. And I got to thank Nomad and Chris as well for donating so much time and coming to talk all about this game. Let's hear what you fellas have been up to. Chris, what's new in the world of a novel console/consoles and stuff? You had mentioned last time getting your setup down to a new location to record some more?
Well, I actually did a solo episode not too long ago. I'm thinking about trying to do at least one solo episode bi-monthly, like 2 a month. My wife still wants to record, but getting her pulled away from her earring business is like herding cats, so it's pretty difficult to get her to sit down and record, especially not living together during this moment. But other than that, we're pretty much slowly coming back to life. Consoles and stuff is also back to life. We have giveaways and auctions and buy it nows and all that good stuff over at Encore. It's Buy Encore. You can just find it on Play Store or the Apple Store. It's just Encore. It's a black app with some green lines on it. I do everything starting at $1. I'm also buying games, video game collections, and all that. So if you have anything you feel like you want to get rid of, especially now that we're getting closer to Christmas, I'm always buying stuff. So just hit me up at consoleandstuff.com, at gmail.com. Sorry, consoleandstuff@gmail.com, and we'll work some deal out.
Heck yeah, I am going to look to buy Tiger Electronics hit handheld Game.com. That is spelled game.com. That was a total flop, by the way. Very cool. Check out Chris's stuff. You can find that in the description. And you can find Nomad stuff in the description too, which I will let him talk about now.
Yeah, so over in the Retro Wildlands, at the time of this recording, I dropped a new episode where I tackled Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for the first time, and compare that to Final Fantasy Tactics, and it is night and day, let me tell you.
Sorry to interrupt you, is Mystic Quest the one with a really good OST?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
The soundtrack in that game is amazing, and the battle theme has catapulted its way to one of my favorite JRPG battle themes. Like, I was not expecting that going into this game, but it was a fun episode to do, and I am kind of enamored with Mystic Quest. It was Square's attempt to try to get RPGs to be something of prevalence here in the West, and while it largely didn't succeed really, it was still really cool to see what they tried to do with it. So episode on that game is live now, and I'm still finding myself dabbling in writing short mini reviews on video games that I don't really want to do a full-blown podcast on, usually more modern stuff, but most recently I just published a mini review and kind of a thought analysis on The Last of Us Part 2. Before that, Terminator Resistance, which is a kind of a lesser-known first-person shooter in the Terminator franchise that I think people should absolutely check out.
Isn't that the one that's like RoboCop, the Rogue City?
Yeah, it's very similar. I actually played RoboCop Rogue City a little bit before this, and playing RoboCop made me want to play Terminator. I love that era of movie, but the games really did the source material justice. But yeah, I wrote about both of them in blog form too, so you can check the new Mystic Quest show out and those blog posts over at our new website, theretrowildlands.com. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and as we speak, I'm putting together a show for Halloween, spooky season, my top 10 favorite spooky video games that is recording as we speak, so look out for that too.
Good stuff. You can check out all of Nomad's good stuff and all of Chris's good stuff in the episode description, and I encourage you to do so. You can also find links to our stuff as well. You can find a link to the free Discord, to all of the social medias, which is mainly Blue Sky and Instagram. Do have a YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube listeners. One time a commenter said, "Wow, so much work for so little listens," and I didn't even respond. Who goes to YouTube to listen to a podcast? That's all I'm saying. It doesn't even come close to being on the chart when it comes to downloads, okay? There's a TikTok too. I don't use it very much. Also the Patreon. You can certainly join the Patreon if you like what we're doing. Patreon.com/pixelprojectradio. $2 a month is the first little tier. You can get some episodes. I recently talked about Stellar Blade, my new obsession, 100-line Defense Academy, which, oh man, I'm loving that so much. Chrono Cross, and so much more too. You can find all of that stuff in the description, all of Nomad and Chris's stuff. And of course, I got to thank not only Nomad and Chris, but you, the listener, for sticking around for all of this. Again, I hope you loved the show today, and it's time to go. My name is Rick. As always, I'm your host. We are signing off for now. Take care.